9 o'clock hour, you're listening to Good Morning K-Town at We Korea. I'm your host, Ginseng Baby Kelly Che. Every Thursday, we have Power of Mind with Edward Hong, a personal development expert. 에드워드 씨, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. Good morning. Welcome to the first Thursday of the rest of your life.
Every time you say it's like a first Thursday?
First Thursday.
Right. It sounds a little scary though.
It's fresh day.
All right. You know, it's touching every week. It's new subject and something I kind of don't hear every day. So that's why it's fresh in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, today's Power of Mind. What are we going to talk about?
I'd like to talk about rapport.
Okay, rapport.
Yeah. Rapport is something that we create relationship with the strangers.
Okay, so it's a different than whatever the report we know about. This is a rapport. So it's a R-A-P-P-O-R-T.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the definition of a report.
Well, let me ask you this first, Kelly.
Okay.
How would you like it if everywhere you went, you had a total and complete support of the strangers?
One stranger or it's like a different strangers?
Well, one strangers, different strangers. Sometimes you could get a rapport from like a group of people too.
Well, the support is always a good thing. So it could be nice, but also it could be a little scary too because it's a complete strangers.
But yeah, I mean, I'm talking about, like safe space. Like,
See, I'm not the expert.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like when you go to a hotel and sometimes you get there later than you should, right? And then, they said all the rooms are all out.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're too late, your deadline's off. So sometimes you feel like, you know what, can you do me a favor? Like, I got no place to go. It's dark at night. I'm sure a hotel always have a reserve.
Yeah.
They should have a room. But depend on the mood of the person who's standing behind the counter, sometimes they could reject you.
Right.
But what if you always create that approval, exception, accepting. So they will go more than they should, they should
That'd
go.
be a nice feeling.
Yeah. And then get you, you know what, by the way, I do have this one room that I could, you could go
Let me
in
just work things out.
Work things out for you. Yeah. So then, things like that. So, I mean, the God create, I'm not in a religious sense. The God create, I mean, there's a 7 billion, population in Earth, right? So God create all of us to help each other, right?
Right.
Unfortunately, not everybody has, in a mood to helping other people.
Right. There's a meanie out there. We're not one of them.
Exactly. So what if we have the skill to shift that state so they can support us in a way that we like to be supported.
That'd be nice.
Wouldn't it be wonderful?
Yeah.
And then even like...
It'll be a better place to live.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure the business people go to a lot of networking events, right? And then how would you like to have so many people, they're liking you, and then they are interested about what you do and wants to work with you, right? Things like that. I mean, rapport is very, very important. Like a Tony Robbins quote, he said the rapport is power. Yeah, we cannot do anything actually in our life without building a trust and support for each other. That's what God created us to help each other. Right? That's my belief.
Okay.
Nothing to being religious, but make your life easier.
You don't have to emphasize that, but
make your life easier. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about rapport.
Yes.
Okay, so where should we start? Because I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, rapport. I mean, I teach rapport in my training all the time because it's something that I practice it every day because I get benefit of it so much. I mean, there's so much story coming from that. I mean, I think it was time when I was doing a training in Orange County in a hotel, and suddenly we had a bit of change to the schedule, so I had to make some printouts. Like there was like 100 pages of printouts that I had to do, but times are short, binded, and so I had to find a place to make a copy. So I went to the counter and I built a report because I practiced that skill all the time. It's embedded in me, right? And then I end up getting like over 100 pages of copies for free. And she apologized to me that a copy wasn't so clear, but it seemed okay to me.
Okay, so tell me how you did it.
Well, we're gonna get into that. It's an amazing skill.
Okay.
And if you're in sales, and if you go to a lot of sales trainings, they talk about this all the time. And they sometimes, not sometimes, all the time, they call it matching and mirroring.
Okay, matching and mirroring.
Matching and mirroring. Yeah. So this is actually coming from way back.
Okay.
I mean, the funny story is in the 1960s. It was the late 1960s was the time that a lot of social psychologists were wants to study like a mating dance of an animal and humans. So one time, so they decide to see what's the mating dance for the humans. So they went to this human habitat, and what can it be? Can you guess?
No. I try to just follow this new concept and try to understand more. Okay, so tell me.
So they went to single bars.
Okay.
So where single people are there all trying.
Okay.
They're trying to meet someone. So they realize at the end, that when two people, they like each other.
Okay.
They build a rapport.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
They match and mirror, and they kind of like mimic each other.
Oh, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what happens. So it's like realize sometimes step back when you're with somebody that you love, a significant others, and an intimate relationship. Sometimes you realize that you guys, the breathing speed, the location even of the location of the breathing. For instance, like some people they breathe from the top of the chest. Some people they breathe from through your stomach. All right, that actually matches unconsciously. Yeah. So here's what I utilize this on a couple therapies. I kind of encourage them to tonight when you get home, when you are together and you are in an intimate mood, match the breathing locations, match the breathing speed. And match the breathing, intensity.
It's just like when you first met at the bar.
That too.
Okay.
So, I'm sure you hear about this, that we communicate with three different elements. It's a words, tonality of it, and physiology. And this was actually came from the study, the gentleman named Robert Birtwistle in early 1970s. And he's in that study, he says, human being, we communicate with the words, and that's only contains 7% of our whole communication level. And the tonality, the tone that we utilize communicating is 38%.
Okay.
And the physiology, by our body gestures and body movements, it's 55% of our communication. We do it with our body movements.
It's a little different than I thought, because I thought words is gonna be more dominant.
That's what we thought too, right? But yesterday I watched what was I watching? I was watching a YouTube, this stand-up comedian. I won't say who it was, but he was really good. But I noticed that his tone of the voice is pretty kind of like monotone. It's like he was very calm and casual and monotone, but he has his facial expression that makes it so funny. So that's one of the things that you example that the physiology takes over the words that we utilize. Yeah.
That's definitely fresh and new. I thought if I'm a good talker, I could get anybody I want, but that's not it at all.
If you utilize all those three elements of communication,
it's a combination of those three elements.
Yes,
not just the words.
Yeah, a lot of master communicators, they're mastering in this.
I'm sure. And then I think kind of about the bar incident you're kind of talking about. I'm sure a lot of us we're kind of doing it unconsciously, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, if you kind of meet somebody you like and then start talking to each other and you're kind of doing those things. But let me ask you this. What about all these couples met and then opposites attract? They said that a lot, right?
That happens, yes, also.
So what is the relation with, matching, mirroring with like a rapport? Why are you
I'm
laughing?
sure they'll match and mirror when they communicate, right? But what you just said, that happens a lot.
Uh-huh.
That has to do with, in my opinion, the characteristic and personality of those two.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's a lot of study on human personality.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Myers-Briggs, and there's Claire Graves reports about human personalities,
Mm-hmm.
and even NLP, neuro-linguistic program, has something called meta programs
Mm-hmm.
that our automatic respond to the matters. And also there's like a 4 quadrant of human personalities, which are controllers, they call supporters and promoters and analyzers.
Okay.
I'm sure you hear that.
Uh-huh.
So let's say, let's make an example. If I am a supporter
Mm-hmm.
and a bit of a promoter,
Mm-hmm.
and I like to support people
Uh-huh.
and kind of promote things, but I don't like to speak up.
Okay.
I don't like the conflict when of between the other party and things like that. So I don't have that characteristic.
Mm-hmm.
But your significant other, let's say, is like a controller. Controller is one of those controllers who has to speak up, and they always wants a result. They don't care what happens. I want to see the results.
I want this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bit like my wife.
Sorry, I didn't know.
Yeah, you're actually, it's a question because I'm talking about myself. She's just.
Every household is like that these days, right?
Yes, thank you so much. But it works out very well.
You're not alone. All right.
So that's the characteristic sometimes I need. Sometimes I just want to support people. I want to be for them, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I want to have their life turned out at a different level. But sometimes she's like my number one, feedback critic. She tells me, no, this this didn't create this result, and she likes to talk out, even though they'll create a little conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm used to taking on their feedback, but a lot of times people don't want to do that. So sometimes, sometimes people, they sees other people having the personality they like to have to fulfill their whole personality.
Yeah.
So there you go. I think that's why they like each other and attracts each other.
All right.
In a personality
Kind of
level.
pop a lot of questions, but all right. Well, every Thursday we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert. And you're listening to We Korea's Good Morning K-Town. I'm your host, the Ginseng Baby, Kelly Che, and we will be right back, guys. We're back. Every Thursday, we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who's a personal development expert. We're talking about Rapport today, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to say something about Rapport?
I always want to say something.
Okay. You want to clear something? How about this?
It's kind of like I don't want misunderstand that the difference between, remember that we talked about why the opposite attracts each other, right
between couples,
couples, right? That has a little bit different. That's a little bit away from what rapport that we want to talk about.
Okay.
That's about personality subject.
Okay.
Yeah, but the rapport is different. Rapport is something that will happen instantly.
Okay.
And mostly effectively with the strangers.
Oh, okay.
Right? So we could be more supportive and be supported more and completely and totally get support from the strangers.
Okay.
And the rapport should be like a subtle.
Mm-hmm.
It's unconsciously subtle.
Okay.
Not letting the other person know that I'm building a communication, can do it here.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay.
right?
Okay.
And support should happen sometimes, not sometimes, in between 10 to 40 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
So that's a little different than
It's not about liking person, but generally people like people who's like them. That's the main concept of it. All people like people who want to be like, right? So that's the kind of concept coming from rapport, building a rapport.
Okay.
Right. So you asked me, I think on our break, you asked me, so what kind of result that we create or I create and my students are creating when they learn this rapport?
Yeah, because you mentioned earlier talking about that some Orange County hotel, and then you asked somebody, and then just end up getting a lot more than you expected to be. So how did you do it? That's my question.
We'll get into that. We'll get into technique, right? Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I practice it all the time, and it's really fun because I mean, everybody, one of the six human needs is being significant, right? I like to be known, I like to be loved, I like to be liked, right? So when you build a rapport, the stranger is giving you a little signal that, oh, hey, he recognized me or she recognized me, thing like that. So it's very fun, and it's really beneficial to personal life. It really beneficial, ultimately, amazingly beneficial to your business life, because people like to have a business with a person they like, and they may having a feeling, oh, maybe I could trust this guy because I like this guy. Who is this guy? He's speaking my language, things like that. So, I mean, one funny story that I share with you is that I go to gym. I'm not saying where, but I go to gym, and one day I had to renew the annual membership. So I walked in there and I said, I don't want to renew every year. So I said, let me just do 2 years. And I start building rapport.
Okay.
And ironically, she mentioned, 3 years. But I said 2 years. But she said 3 years. And as we were building a rapport, I asked her, is it on a computer? She said, and then, okay. But I wasn't really, pay attention to what she was doing. I just kind of doing my rapport things. I mean, I do pay attention because you got to know what response you get from the person. But what I'm trying to say is I wasn't aware what was happening. And until I come home and I look at the receipt, instead of 2 years renewal that I pay for, she gave me 3 years.
Oh.
And I go, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes when you have that warm feeling of trusting or liking person, sometimes your mind goes some other way, and then you just do whatever your mind directly to you unconsciously.
You're going to tell me what gym it was.
So she gave me 3 years, and I realized, and I stepped back and I dissected how that happened. But and I realized that I was building a rapport. So I opened that communication with her, and also I gave her embedded command, utilizing 3 senses. Now that's from another training. We'll talk about that some other day. So I utilize visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and point out that what she sees on a computer was 3 years, and I told her, how will that make you feel good if you give me a 3 years with the 2 years, and verbally with the tonality, and I said that. So she accepted it and gave me 3 years. So, like I said, everything that we get to do to connecting with other people, the rapport is, I think, is very, very important.
So how did you do it?
I'll share that with you. So,
I'm ready. Pen is ready.
Yes, obviously, we have to talk about what the technique works, right? So remember early today on the last session, segment, we talked about we communicate with the word, tonality, and physiology. Words of
only 5%,
7%,
7%.
Tonality
yes.
is 38%. The tone of voice and physiology is 55%. Right. So I mean, this even tell you that you can never not communicate each other. Even if you sit there doing nothing, that physiology tells something about us and communicating to others. So, and based on, when people like each other, they tend to be like each other, right? So the element of this technique of building a rapport instant subtle rapport is number 1, physiology. Number 2, tonality. Number 3, the words, which is 7%. I'm going to start with the physiology because it's a 55% of our communication. So another means that if I communicate with you in physiology, of my physiology, that's like, let's put it this way. We speak English, we speak Korean, but we don't speak Chinese. When somebody suddenly walk in here and start speaking Chinese to us, we understand that?
Some.
But we won't understand what they're saying like we understand in English or Korean, right? So basically what it is that we're speaking their language in physiology. So there's a few things in physiology that we utilize to communicate to each other, which is like number 1 is a posture. Like sometimes when you go somewhere, when you go to doctor's office, what do? You sit there in a little bit of down mode and you just kind of slouch, right? So when you talk to somebody who's sitting and being a slouch, you could sit next to him and just being slouch, not saying anything, but sitting slouch like he does.
Yeah,
we're matching, right? And sometimes you sit up straight. Some people you see people sitting up straight, and then you follow that stretch, right? So and the gesture. Before I go into this, I think I forgot to mention too that I want to tell you what matching and mirroring is, right? Matching is very simple. Let's see if you and I standing right in front of each other, right? If I raise my right hand, and if I ask you to raise your right hand, go ahead and raise your right hand. This is a matching.
Okay.
Right? And then if I ask you to raise your left hand, lower your right hand, raise your left hand, this is mirroring.
Oh,
because it's like we're looking at mirrors.
Mirror mode.
Yeah, mirror mode, right? They both work. That's what the matching and mirroring work. So when we do physiology building or rapport building, that's what we do. We're matching our postures and gestures. Sometimes people, when they talk, they like shake their hand or they over there, over this, and things like that. You could subtly matching and mirroring that to speak in their language.
Okay.
Right? And the third is a facial expression. Sometimes people make a different facial expressions, and you could watch that, and then you could kind of, you don't have to like completely mimic them, but you could have emotions that you could kind of doing the same thing. And the blinking is very, very powerful. You
really
follow their blinking. Yes.
Oh, follow their blinking.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So matching or mirroring is there's a way we do it. Is we do it that way, and then we do it. We don't just match like that. We do it match, and then we do different postures.
Okay.
Or gestures.
Okay.
And then if you keep doing that, one time there will be a time that when you do different different postures or gestures, the person will follow you. That's one of the signs that now we're building a rapport. So it's like a dance: pace, and lead. Pace, lead. Do you understand that?
Yeah. So if so, it seems like it's a pretty effective tool. So if you want 100 pages of copy, because I'm still thinking that. Okay. So obviously you didn't do it. You didn't do Aegyo stuff.
Yeah. You can do that. I can go.
Well, but does it's gonna work for you? That's a different story. So I kind of keep thinking that because based on what you told me so far, and then how did you do it?
So when I was standing on the counter of the gym, I stand there like she stands there, and I was and then I make a movement of how she does with her hands and things like that, and physiology, and also breathing, and you observe how the person breathes. Is it from the top of the chest, or is it from the stomach?
Right.
That too, and then if you could catch the speed of the breathe, the rhythm of the breathe, that's an amazing tool. So that's a physiology.
Okay.
All right. So and
tonality.
Tonality is. I was going to give you a little bit more physiology examples, but anyway. So tonality is a voice.
Yes.
Yeah. There's 4 different elements to that. Sub-element to that is a tonality. Is the pitch of the voice. Some people use a really high pitch like that, and then you just have. Sometimes you don't have to mimic them, but you could, change the pitch of your voice a little bit to match that. Or sometimes people talk really, really, really loud, right? So that's another something that you could match that. And tempo, the speed. Some people really talk really, really, really fast, and they don't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying. They're just going on and on and on like an advertising.
It sounds like a fine print in a commercial.
Or sometimes people talk really, really
Right.
slow, and I told them like, oh my God,
I have a friend like that. It just drives me crazy.
Yeah, you're like tasting each word's coming out of their mouth, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Or sometimes people have a quality of voice differently. Korean language, you said husky voice, right? Sometimes people have that gravelly or raspy voice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes people have a really clear and smooth voice, right? So you can match on that.
Right.
By matching that, it's like you're speaking their language unconsciously. They're going to go, oh, this guy speaks like me. And then they'll accept you. Yeah. And there's a volume. Sometimes people like to speak really, really loud and, oh my God, what a great day today. And sometimes people talk really, really soft. Oh my God, it's a really, really powerful day.
Okay.
Gotta do that.
Right.
So that's the tonality. Tonality is 4 kinds, and the words, obviously words that we utilize. There's some keywords people utilize. Sometimes people like to utilize words like magnificent,
right,
marvelous, right? But if you have a client who keeps saying magnificent and like that, you don't want to tell them that this was fantastic, right? You like to follow and mimic their keywords, right? And this is something that we always do, common experiences. Like, hey, what school did you go to? And then you figure the commonality from the person that you immediately clicked.
Yeah, more related.
More related.
Right.
Right? Does that make sense?
Right.
Great.
Right.
So those are the big things. There's can be more, but it looks like we're not running out of time. So that's the tools that you utilize. You utilize these tools. Think of it as like you speaking their language.
Okay.
Physically, in tonality wise, and words. So they get you. Like I'm from Korea. I'm from Korea too. That has a connection there.
Right.
Same as that.
So if you want something from a strangers, and use a rapport scale.
Exactly. And practice makes practice.
And I'm sure a lot of them we already have it. And it just kind of a polish it a little bit, and then if you have a moment like that, and then utilize.
Yeah, the repetition is the mother of what?
Huh?
Repetition is the mother of what?
I don't know.
Success.
Oh, okay.
You heard that before, right?
Well, repetition is a mother of being perfect.
Got it.
All right. Well, we have every Thursday a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who is a personal development expert. And when we come back, we have also book you recommend, right?
Yes.
All right. So can't wait. So we'll be right back, guys. Every Thursday, we have a Power of Mind with Edward Hong, who's a personal development expert. Okay, Edward 씨.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm still here.
I thought I'd kick you out.
You did, but I came back.
All right. All right. So, third segment, you always recommend us a great book to read.
Yes.
Okay. What's today's book?
Well, the reason I recommend the book every Thursday is because the readers are the leaders.
Yes.
And there's so many great books out there. They'll just structure and form you and help you grow.
How many books do you read a month? I'm just curious.
I do about minimum 2 to 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. How could
Sometimes
you make...
I don't finish it, but I go back and forth.
Right.
And then, because it's about growing your mind. It's creating a different pictures in your mind, and that helps you grow. Because there's so many things. I mean, it comes down to it. It's all about personal growth.
I'm just wondering, how could you even make time to do all of the things that you listed in your life, like working out and then reading books and then making money and then like, I don't know, like all these different jobs and hobbies and all that. How could you even manage it?
Because I'm the person who wants everything. No, that's a joke.
That's a very honest answer.
30 minutes a day and minimum. And sometimes I know I'm getting to the book and I stay more than hour or 2 hours, but 30 minutes a day. It's about creating a different picture in your mind.
Have you ever kind of feel really burnt out?
No.
No?
I committed myself to be curious and interesting for myself to grow. And when I think it kind of pulls me all the time. And then, and working on the book and things like that, writing book. And it's my passion. And it's my passion to spread my words, to help people to have a better life. And if I don't equip myself to on that level or growing myself into, like every day, it's probably not going to be possible to do that. So
sounds like you're a guy with a lot of passions.
That I do, yes. Thank you so much for recognizing.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. All right. So we were talking about the power of mind and your book recommendations. Go back to books.
Yes. This week's book recommendation is, probably a lot of people know about this, but I read this 3 times, and it's an amazing book. And it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Okay. Well, it's 2 different things. How you win friends and how you influence people.
Yeah. That's something that we just talked about today, but it's not exactly the same. Building a rapport is an instant, subtle, the technique that we create that open conduit to a person that we just met. But this is something that this combines a lot of things about our life, and I believe that if people really master this book, we could make the world really the better place. And this was written by Dale Carnegie and published in 1936, and believe it or not, it sold like over 15 million copies worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to tell you what the book is. I mean, every little detail of it, but this is actually like consistent in like 6 major sections. Okay. And the titles are amazing too. It's number 1 is the fundamental techniques in handling people, right? Handling meaning not controlling, but work together. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And number 2 is the 6 ways to make people like you. Right. We gotta like each other. Right. To work together. And number 3 is 12 ways to win people to your way of thinking. Right. We be on the same page. Right. And, I've been running multiple businesses and running multiple businesses. Right. You got to put people on the same page. Making that's one part of powerful element to be a leader, right? And number 4 is to be a leader, right? So it's got like a lot of things together you could bring from other books too, but and then for instance, like be a leader, who's that? John Maxwell, right? He's like a 360 leader, the book that he wrote. It's an also amazing book. So, but it's like combination of a lot of great books, and feels like that everything's kind of in this book together. Okay. Yeah, that's one thing I like about this book. And number 5 is the letters that produce miraculous results. Right, and then number 6 is 6 rules will make your home life happier. Right, important. Happy wife, happy life. Right. Happy husband. So I think this book is one of those books of like book of the centuries. Yeah. So
Well, I
really
haven't
liked
read this book, but I have a question. So it published in 1936, but how can I say? Even though it published so long time ago, it still kind of indicate like it fits with the modern society.
Yes. Because even back then and now, our mindsets are very similar.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it's like a jugular, right? Everything we do is about our mindsets. Everything we do is about our emotions and states. Everything we do is creating a result. And putting it all together. And I think this is a very, very great book. Yeah.
All right. So the book he recommend today, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It published in 1936. But the great book, it doesn't matter when it published it, and everybody read it. So that's why it sold on over 50 million copies worldwide, right?
Yes.
All right. So if you have any questions about what we talked about or books or anything, how mine works, and Edward, you could email Edward. What's the email?
Edward Hong, Hong, 15 @gmail.com.
All right. Edward Hong 15 @gmail.com. You could shoot email to him for questions or anything. Or he talked too loud, he talked too fast, or what is the rapport at the bar? Any kind of questions, you can shoot him an email. Thank you so much, Edward Dushi. And then I'll see you next week for different topics.
Yes. Thank you so much for inviting me and have a powerful day.
감사합니다.